I'm here at BGG.CON 2014 with David from Hares Games, and he's here to talk about their first game, which was kickstarted, called Lagoon.
Lagoon, Land of Druids. So, Lagoon is a game about determining the destiny of a world, and the world of Lagoon is made up of different tiles that represent magical places in that world, and they are aligned with three different energies. So there's red, there's blue, there's also yellow. And the world starts out with one of each of those three energies in play. And over the course of the game, there's a big stack of tiles that go in a bag, and players will be collectively building that shared world and editing that world over the course of the game. So players can explore new tiles, adding them to the board. And when you explore, there are two different sides to the tile. So there are always going to be two different energies, because yellow and blue, and you choose which you add to the board. So if you choose blue, you're going to alter the balance of power in blue's favor. And you can also remove tiles from the board. There's a rock, paper, scissors mechanic between the three energies. So yellow beats red, red beats blue, and blue beats yellow. So each player has 5 druid tokens that they can move around the world. And you can use that rock, paper, scissors mechanic to remove tiles from the board. If you occupy 3 tiles of the same energy, you can then remove a tile of the energy that it opposes. And in this way, the players are altering the balance of power over the course of the game, trying to shape the destiny of the world to however they would like it to be to benefit them. And at the end of the game, all the tiles will have been explored and added to the table. And at the end of the game, you look at the tiles on the board, and whichever energy is most represented on the board would be the dominant energy and becomes the destiny of Lagoon. And then the player that most supported that energy would be the winner. And the way that the game tracks that is when you explore a site, if you explore a blue site, you add that to the world, you get a blue seed token matching the energy of the site you explored, and you add that to your supply. Now if blue ends up being dominant at the end of the game, each blue seed will be worth 1 point. Likewise, when you unravel a site, let's say you unravel a red site, which you would use the yellow energy to do, you remove that site from the board and you add it to your score stack. And at the end of the game, you've hurt red by doing this, and if either yellow or blue are dominant at the end of the game, this is going to be worth 2 points. So it's kind of a stock holding mechanic. When you support an energy, you get a seed it's like a share that might be worth points if that energy is dominant. But when you unravel a site, there's 2 outcomes in which that could deliver points for you. Also, each tile has a unique magic ability that your druids can use if they occupy it. And something that I think makes the game fairly unique is that you have up to 5 druids moving around the board, and the menu of actions that your druids can invoke is basically the sites that you occupy. So they share their magic. So the different sites, if you occupy 5 different sites, any of your druids can invoke the actions of any of the sites you occupy. So you want to move your druids around to get the right blend of actions to carry out your agenda. So maybe your opponent has a really juicy action on one part of the board. You might want to get over there so you have access to that as well. Or you might want to go over there and then unravel it, remove it from the board, and take away their toy. And so it's a very dynamic world with things constantly shifting. But you're not tied to supporting one particular energy. You have very fluid loyalty. So maybe you start unraveling and removing a bunch of red sites. And those red sites, you can score your points whether yellow or blue are dominant. So you're agnostic at that point whether yellow or blue wins. You're keeping your options open. And then maybe at a later point in the game, you turn against one, either yellow or blue. And sometimes you might have to change your loyalty several times based on what your opponent or opponents are doing. And so it's kind of a dance around the colors. And it plays in about an hour, and it plays with 1 to 4 players.
And you don't get any points for shares or tokens you have of the color that isn't dominant.
Correct. However, when you gain seeds, you can also spend them on various things during the game. So you need yellow energy to unravel red, for example. And you need 3 energy of the same type. So you could position your druids on 3 yellow sites to get the 3 yellow energy you need to unravel a red. Or if you have yellow seed tokens from exploring yellow earlier, you can spend those seed tokens 1 for 1 to help you get to the 3. So you can mix and match. So they give you some versatility.
Excellent. And would you say it's a light game, a medium game, or a heavy game?
I think it's kind of a medium game. It's a strategy game. It's kind of a tense hour. It's often tense up until the end. But there's a bit the learning curve is depending on players' experience with like emergent mechanics, it might take half a game or a game or so to kind of figure it out. But then there's usually that light bulb moment of understanding like, oh, my druid share abilities, and kind of you start to experience how that rock paper scissors plays out, and then I think it becomes a lot easier to play.
And what kind of age range is it suitable for? Have you played it with kids or teenagers?
I have tested it with kids as young as around 14 or so, but I've had some folks come up at this con and say they played with their kids as young as 8. But I think that they've been playing a lot of games with their kids. I think it depends on that kid and their level of experience with games.
Okay, excellent. And where can people find Lagoon if they're interested in it?
Well, it started selling in retail stores last week, so you can get it at your local hobby game store. I'm sure it will show up online as well if it hasn't already.
Okay, excellent. Thanks very much.
Thank you.